time I graduated from medical school, I had $500,000 in debt.
Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. That's Dr. Adams. He's a DO, family practitioner. I'm not sure what his income is, but average is about $200,000. And he's talking about him being $500,000 in debt and constantly playing catch up. And he is now more than $100,000 in debt compared to what he finished medical school, or rather residency with. So he is making like a third of what he owes, and the interest rate is just continually accruing, and he just can't catch up. So don't do it. If you want to go to medical school, you really need to do your research. You need to apply to schools that are cheap, the cheapest ones you can get, because at the end of the day, MD versus DO doesn't really matter. But I'm going to tell you this, DO schools tend to be expensive. Caribbean schools tend to be expensive. I'm in Texas. I was lucky enough to where our schools in Texas were cheap. I think they're still cheap comparatively to other states, but of course they've gone up. Universities have such free access to loans, and as a student, you can take out so much more money in loans than just a regular person. It's just basically what you're seeing at the time is free money, but this free money is not really free, and it's going to cripple you in debt forever. Some of these doctors are going to take 20 to 30 years to pay their debt off, okay? And the interest rate of 5, 6, 7%, I think some of it is like 6.8%, and they're making $200,000 to $300,000 a year, and their interest rate is just exponentially growing compared to their income. Don't do it. Do your research, okay? Avoid DO schools if you can. Avoid Caribbean schools if you can. And you need to look at your income when you get out. If you pick a field that is making $250,000 and you're in debt $500,000, it just doesn't make sense. It's better not to go to medical school at all. Get a STEM degree, a nursing degree, a business degree, start a business. It's ridiculous the amount of debt some of these doctors are accruing and can't even afford to pay it off at the end of it all. So don't do it, guys. It's not worth it if you're going to be out $500,000 and you're making $250,000. My rule will be whatever money that you're going to come out with, you need to make that salary within a year. And therefore, you're going to be ahead of the ballpark. Just don't do it. I don't think Dr. Adams, honestly, I don't know for a fact whether he'd do it again, but I probably think he wouldn't, knowing how he's struggling right now. There are a lot of doctors out there like him. Lucky for me, I was able to pay mine off without much difficulty because I went to a cheap school in Texas and I picked a good paying field. But there are people out there who are really struggling, guys. Do your research and don't do it. Don't fall for that trap of you're going to be rich as a doctor. You're not. No, not if you're that much in debt. You're not. You're going to be struggling.
Welcome back to our channel AI Crystal, your go-to space for deep, critical conversations around society, systems, and survival. A big thank you to all our loyal subscribers. You guys are the heart of this community. If you're new here, don't forget to like, share, comment your thoughts below, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a moment of truth. Today we're diving into a heavy and heartbreaking topic: why some doctors are giving up entirely because of student loan debt. Yes, the very people we trust with our lives are walking away from the profession they sacrificed years to join. And the root cause? Debt. Crushing debt. The average medical student in the U.S. graduates with over $200,000 in student loan debt. For many, this figure doesn't even include undergrad loans, cost of living, or interest rates compounding year after year. Residency programs pay doctors in training less than $65,000 per year, often for 60 to 80-hour work weeks. That's barely enough to cover loan payments, living expenses, and life.
Sorry, but I don't think paying back your debts is morally superior. I literally don't care that you grinded for over a decade and stretched yourself so thin and worked 2 jobs and missed out on kids' birthdays and missed out on funerals and missed out on your life. What is dwindling time in your life of mobility and good health in order to pay back, of all people, the federal government. You will never catch me working that hard for the federal government, ever. Ever, ever, ever. There are so many people in my comments, wait, I'm confused. I thought we were paying our student loans back. It's a loan, not a gift. Yeah, I literally don't care. Congratulations. You did. I'm not. And many people can't. And also the people that have been paying them back and are in good standing and trying to be a good citizen, quote unquote, because that's how we're measured, is how well we can pay back our debts when our own government is not even paying back our debts. And our own president owes the state of New York so much money that he literally can't even go there. And the fact that he owes other states so much money that he literally couldn't hold rallies And that's why he had to use really obscure, weird third-party vendors in order to hold rallies in states. He's gone bankrupt 6 times. So yeah, your neighbor who's got 3 children and weighed down by student loans, who has to file for bankruptcy in order to continue to pay her student loans, is the one that's morally inferior. Same government that sends $8.8 billion at the drop of a hat across seas to support an extinction of an entire people. Same government who manipulates and uses our stock market to their own advantage and insider trades every day. Congratulations. Like, you literally are living and dying to pay back the federal government, and it's never going to be me. The bootlicking is insane. It's a really, really weird hill to die on when you can't even afford eggs. That goes for all debts. That goes for houses. That goes for cars. We're weighed down by cars and car loans with high interest rates because we don't have public transport that's affordable and or accessible. Weighed down by mortgages. Let's not even talk about that. None of us are ever going to own homes ever again. Allowing predatory practices like LLCs buying out houses, doing absolutely nothing about it, if anything, perpetuating the behavior. The federal government does not care about you. They're making billions of dollars off of your back. These debts are not ours. Paying back our student loans will not fix our debt deficit. Just run the numbers. The fact that they are bleeding out money in places like the DOD. It is not on me to bail out the government. It is not on the American people. They have just propagandized it that way. Until we see that, until we see our government as inherently evil and that they are all working towards the same goal, we will never have class solidarity, and we will never, ever get ourselves out of this situation. We need some Eric Mays energy up in this.
I don't think a lot of y'all understand, but this bill is literally an attack on the American dream. I'm a medical student, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people in medical school, their mother, their father, at least one or most likely both are doctors. They can pay for higher education just from their parents' pockets. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the dream everybody has for their kids, to be able to do for their kids. But when you take away grad plus loans and put a cap on subsidized loans, you're basically denying a lot of people from education. And once you start denying people at least the chance to get educated, that's when you're really taking away the American dream. If you don't come from generational wealth, your parents don't have $400,000 lying around to send you to medical school. And you might say, okay, you can go get a private loan. You know what a private loaner will do to you? They will keep you in debt for the rest of your life. The whole point of FAFSA, the whole point of student financial aid, is to bet on yourself so that you can create generational wealth, so that the poor don't have to stay poor, so that people can climb the socioeconomic ladder. You're proposing a bill like this to take all of that away. Don't let this go over y'all heads, bro. I feel like I had to use my platform to speak about this as a medical student who doesn't come from one of them backgrounds where both parents are doctors. Don't let this go over a lot of y'all heads, man. We gotta fight this, because this is literally an attack on the American dream, bro. Come on now.
I graduated with approximately $500,000 worth of student loan debt. These are my thoughts on the skyrocketing monthly payments. When I was in school, we actually had like a couple-hour seminar on student loan debt and how you can go around repaying it. It could either be through working for a nonprofit where you make way less money, but at the time they had promised that the loans would be forgiven after 10 years. The other way was to do income-based repayment. And during the seminar at my school, I raised a lot of concern. I told people around me, and I also asked the professors, like, hey, the administration changes every 4 years. How are you guaranteeing that this works for people in the future? And honestly, I did not believe it at all. I was very lucky that I was one of the few that was not duped. But with that much student loan, I knew I needed an action plan. I decided to just do my own plan. And so I decided to move to a state that had no state income tax, and I worked my butt off. So I would work around 12 to 16 hours, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, I would go and substitute into other clinics and work there. So essentially, I was working 6 to 7 days a week, most weeks the first couple years that I graduated. And this is not ideal for everybody. But in my mind, I had a burdensome amount of debt that I knew I had to repay. And so I worked my butt off to get a lot of that paid down in the first 2 years alone. I had no work-life balance. It was actually very stressful and very horrible. But in my mind, I had taken out these student loans, and so I needed to repay them, and I didn't feel comfortable or confident relying on the government or anybody else to like save me from my own student loans. A lot of people are coerced into taking out high student loans without really understanding the implications of it, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Institutions also need to be held more accountable. Like, there is no reason why a school should be charging hundreds of thousands of dollars to get through and start your career.
Hey, so this is probably the most vulnerable post I will have ever made in the history of time. And for those of you who this little blue halo is already triggering you, I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna hopefully make you feel better, and I'm honestly having a weekly crash out. I need help from you as well. This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree. And before you go ahead and take out the phrase that is so commonly used, oh, but you knew how much you were taking out in the beginning. No, a lot of this has to do with interest alone accruing, while I am in a hell of a limbo of what we like to call administrative forbearance, trying to get into the SAVE plan. So I worked with a student loan counselor after I graduated, and I was told to consolidate all of my Direct Plus grad student loans to be one loan so that I could apply to the SAVE repayment plan. Right as soon as I started and submitted my application was when all of the chaos happened in the courts, where they just can't get their head out of their ass and figure out what they're doing. And so I never actually got into the SAVE plan. And so I have been accruing interest at a 7% rate. I've not had to pay my monthly payment. My monthly payment has been $0 because of a previous tax return when I was making $0 income as a student. But still, this amount is a literal noose around my neck. And I don't think I will ever pay this off. I fear that I will not be able to ever own a home as someone still earning six figures salary, let alone children. I would love and aspire to have a child someday, but this really, I don't want to say like makes me suicidal, but like it truly makes it really hard to get out of bed every morning. And I know I'm not alone. I know I don't even have it that bad, but I'm truly asking as a cry for help, like how you compartmentalize the stress of something like this, knowing that you'll never, ever get out of debt, because it would take an act of God to take this amount away. And people repay the principal loan multiple times over in situations like me, but they never get rid of their debt because of the system at hand. And that is what is so fucked about student loans for people in advanced degrees like doctor, nurse, anesthetist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant. What else can I think of? Any degree program that takes multiple loans and at least six figures to take out to go to these programs. And I did this to get a better life for myself, get a salary that actually amounted to something for my future family. And yet this is what happened. And a lot of it wasn't even the fault of my own, because I had no way of predicting that this would happen. I had no way of knowing that SAVE would not be around in the future. PSLF is my only option. I do work at a 501c3, but even then, the payment is like pushing almost $1,000 a month, and that will soon become even unaffordable for me. So yeah, I'm literally at a loss.
I don't think healthcare professionals should pay student loans. I'm going to die on that hill. We are people who did things right. Most of us are type A. We don't have a lot of other debt. We said no to a lot of parties. We sacrificed a ton of stuff to get where we are. We said yes to 3 a.m. study sessions, studying our asses off to help other people. And then you're going to tell me that in order to do that, in order to exist in a profession where I have to help other people, or want to help other people, which is why I got into it, I have to pay $200,000 plus with an 8% compounding interest rate daily that my decent, amazing salary barely chips away at. And I got to ask permission on my student loans if I can build a house, start a family, or go on vacation. It pisses me off. It's crazy. Like, the The only stress I have in my life right now, which is a lot, is because of my student loans. I wake up and I'm like, shit, I don't even want to look. Shit, did I put enough in this month? That's not fair. Let us live. Let us breathe for a minute. It's been years of sacrifice to help your mother, to help your grandmother, to help your dog. And what? At least take away the interest. Is anyone listening?
The medical school boom is over. Fewer and fewer people are going into medical school. Let me tell you why. Back in 2021, we had an all-time high of students going into medical school. Over 80,000 people applied to become doctors. But in 2024, that number dropped to just 65,000 people. That is a 19% decline in only 3 years. Let's check out the numbers. In 2021, we had 80,000 people going to medical school. The following year, we had 70,000. Then in 2023, 67,000. Now in 2024, we had only 65,000 people. It's been falling every single year. So what's going on? Why do fewer people want to become doctors? There are a few issues. Issue number one is burnout. The second issue is debt. And the third issue is a broken healthcare system. The golden years of medicine, they're over. Residency is hard, and you go into it usually with $200,000 to $400,000 of medical school loans. It's not just about wanting to help people anymore. You have to endure a decade of training, $300,000 of medical school loans, and 80+ hour work weeks before you see any meaningful benefit. And more students are saying no thank you. If we don't fix the core issues like compensation, debt management, and work-life balance during residency, this trend is only going to get worse. Make sure you follow Salary Doctor for more real conversations about medical school, residency, money, and the future of medicine.
Let's be honest, the financial burden is just one layer. Pair that with chronic burnout, mental health stress, and constant bureaucracy, and we begin to understand why even the most passionate doctors hit their breaking point. Many doctors feel trapped in a cycle, working not to heal, but to repay. Some can't afford to buy homes, start families, or even take vacations despite working in one of the most demanding and respected fields. Worse, some new doctors say they feel like medical debt slaves bound by systems that profit off their ambition and care. There are rising cases of doctors switching careers to tech, finance, consulting, not because they want to, but because it's the only way out. They're emotionally and financially exhausted. Imagine going through 12 years of training only to feel forced out by money. One doctor on social media shared how he left medicine entirely after just 3 years of practicing. His debt payments were more than his rent, and his mental health was deteriorating. Others are moving abroad where practicing medicine is more sustainable, fewer hours, less debt, more respect. This isn't a story of doctors giving up. This is a system failing them and ultimately failing us. When the people trained to save lives are pushed out by debt and despair, who suffers? We all do. The cost of becoming a doctor in America is prohibitively expensive. It filters out talented, passionate people from lower income backgrounds. We're also seeing a looming physician shortage, especially in rural and underserved areas. The financial system is literally choking our healthcare future. Here's the call to action. This isn't just about venting. It's about solutions. We need serious reforms like tuition caps for medical schools, loan forgiveness for service in underserved areas, increased pay and support during residency, subsidized education for high-need specialties, mental health care for physicians under stress. It's time we stop treating doctors like ATMs and start treating them like the essential human beings they are. What do you think? Is the medical system broken beyond repair? Or is there still hope for change? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And remember, if you found value in today's video, like, share, and subscribe for more bold takes and smart conversations here on AI Crystal.